Hello, guys. I was actually, it was really funny. It took me a couple minutes to get on here because I was looking over some stuff on TCG Player. I was actually looking at some card prices because there's cards I'm shopping around for. So I was taking a look at them, and I got distracted. So I'm just, just like a minute or two late. It's not a huge deal, but um, oh hey, Thoth is in the house. Wow, dude, you got in here so quick. I love it when you guys jump in here super duper fast. It always makes me really happy. Really, really happy. So, obviously, we're getting back at... Just give me a second here. I'm setting up the chat log. There we go. So now I can see what all of you beautiful people are doing, huh? Yeah. Wrath of Wood, coming on in. Well, it looks like I have my two early birds who like to come in and hang out right when the stream starts, which is awesome. So yeah, we're gonna try to finish this Kamigawa mountain. I can't quite remember exactly. Obviously, I know generally what I've been working on here, but since it's been a little bit of time, I'm gonna have to redo all the colors, kind of feel it out again. And so I think it's going to take a little bit of, kind of messing around and playing with the colors and stuff like that to figure out what I was trying to do. I'm glad you guys think it looks really good, though. I worked really hard on it last time I was here, and I had a lot of fun because what's really nice is that I really love the Kamigawa lands. I was mentioning this in the previous stream that we did for Kamigawa, that these lands are beautiful, you guys. They're so beautiful. So it's a lot of fun when I get a chance to work on a piece of art that is absolutely beautiful, because then I get to really play with the colors and really capitalize on what makes it so pretty. And I like the usage of reds and pinks and stuff like that. And for mountains, it's pretty normal for them to have a lot of reds, but you don't always see these really nice pinks and purples that it's got going on in here. So I'm gonna have some coffee here. I have obviously my thing of coffee, as I always do. I'm a coffee addict. It's a problem, but I'm okay with it because I love it. But I'll have some coffee, and then we'll start mixing up some colors and getting it all figured out. Delicious. The happy little stars look sweet. Thank you. Glad you guys like them. I was just kind of trying to be really careful and sparse with them, And let me see if I can bring it just a little bit closer so it's not super duper fuzzy. You guys might be able to get a better chance to kind of see it. Let's see. That looks pretty good, like that. There we go. So now I'm gonna let you guys kind of take a look for a second, and now I'm going to put my palette in front of you guys. So we're gonna zoom out here, and I'm gonna kind of move some stuff around over on this side because my table is an absolute mess. I know you guys are lucky because you guys don't have to actually look at my full art table. My art table is such a mess, you guys. It's ridiculous. But I'm gonna move some stuff out of the way here so I can have some room to work with. Just kind of put that over there, and there we go. That should be fine. And I'm gonna get this guy out of the way. And we're gonna bring up this palette here, and we're gonna mix some colors. So all my colors dried last time, so obviously. Oh my god, I forgot to get water. Oh, what am I doing? All right, hold on. I gotta sprint and get some water real quick, because this is my water cup for dipping my brushes in, and I super duper need that. So I'm gonna be right back. I will get it in just a second. Give me just a second. I'll be right back. Can't believe I forgot my water. That's super important. Alright, that didn't take too long, so that's good. Sorry about that, guys. So I have my water here. That's very important business, and I'm spilling it everywhere too, because that's how I roll. Because, if I'm not making a complete mess everywhere I go, then I'm obviously not being a good artist. Gotta make messes everywhere I go. Just gonna wipe off the mess I made. It's kind of... Oh yeah, make a bigger mess. Oh yeah, oh, all the mess. Oh, look at that. Oh, all the mess. I love it. It's everywhere. It's just water. It's not a big deal. I mean, I probably don't really even need to clean it up. It'll just dry up and stuff like that, so I guess it's not a huge deal. So Thoth says the art Kamigawa lands are beautiful. But the plane is too good in lore for WotC to touch again, and the new art they use now for nowadays is nothing compared to the old comic. I don't know. What's really interesting, Thoth, is I was actually talking about this recently. I was talking about this in my Cube stream that I did earlier yesterday, before the Minecraft stream. Is I think they're actually getting brave enough to go back to their original art style. And, like, obviously I can't say that about, like, their storytelling and stuff like that. But when I saw some of the cards from the new Theros spoilers, there's some really evocative art that they're doing that's very evocative and provocative, if you know what I'm saying. If you guys saw the art for that new god that they're doing, she is sexy, you guys. She looks really sexy. So she's got her tiggle bitties hanging out, with barely anything covering them. So, like, I don't know. There's a chance that they might be going back to their old school, they're like, I think they're going back to the idea of, like, maybe doing sexy art here and there is still okay. So that gives me some hope that, we might actually have art that is decent. I can't say the same thing for the story, because I don't think they'll ever be able to truly recover for, like, making good stories again. But then again, I haven't read it, but Mike says that the Throne of Eldraine book was pretty good. So with that in mind, you never know. Like, I mean, maybe. I mean, they obviously said that that they're not doing a book for the Theros block coming up. So, it is what it is. Ratherwood says just have Seb McKinnon do every card and return to comic. Yeah, that's a lot of work. I mean, there's some good ones out there. Like, I was actually commenting about, like Vulcan Baga's a really good artist, and we were actually making, in my Cube video, we were making fun of Vulcan Baga because of a particular piece of art he did that is just so bad. It was so bad. But it was, like, hilariously bad. I need to focus on what kind of colors I want here. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to start with a red. We are going to be using a lot of red, obviously. So let me kind of flip this board so you guys can see the area I'm going to work in. I'm going to be using this area, which is where I keep all my red. Yeah, the new, I think it's red and green. I'm not totally sure, but it's that new lady god who the whole thing is like she escaped from the underworld or whatever. She's really hot looking, like weirdly hot looking. So, I mean, maybe there's a chance that the art can come back to being more, I don't know, like maybe a little more creative. I mean, obviously they're showing sexiness again, I guess. So, I don't know, maybe they'll start letting their artists kind of go back to doing their thing again, because that was a little, need some white too. They were just not really letting, like, all the artists do what they should be allowed to do, so it'd be nice if they would kind of let them free roam a bit more. She's no Narset. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember how Narset looks. Does Narset look really hot? Like, I can't remember. Did they make Narset look really sexy? Is that, like, what happened? Because I don't remember that. I've never really looked at that card, but, like, I don't play with many of the new Magic cards at all, so it's like I don't really know how everything looks. I basically stopped buying, like, I mean, I still buy cards online. Like, I was talking about how I was looking around on TCG Player right before I started the stream. And so I do, like, buy, like, singles and stuff like that here and there off the secondary market. But I don't buy, like, mainstream Magic products anymore because it feels like a waste of money, to me. And, like, they're not producing, the kind of quality products that I would want to be interested in buying anymore, so it's like, why bother? So I just kind of buy singles, and a lot of the time, I just buy, like, older sets, and I'll admit I buy a few newer cards here and there, but not that often. I'm looking at some Modern Horizons cards right now. one very specifically that I'm thinking about buying, and I actually just bought a couple of Modern Horizons cards for some friends of mine recently as Christmas gifts. So, you know, like, I guess I will buy some, like, newer cards here and there, but it's not, like, my main prerogative. I generally just prefer to buy older cards. Like, I always say, like, my interest in cards is everything pre RTR, so like before Return to Ravnica, which is like all the way back in 2013. So because 2013 is when they officially kind of started like making crap quality products, and so like a lot of the sets before Return to Ravnica like actually have like a pretty decent amount of quality and things like that. So I kind of try to focus on that. I'm shopping around mostly for cards like that from the older stuff. Wrath of Wood says Narset is his waifu. Waifu Narset is nice. Okay, alright. Especially the Japanese art. Okay. I'll have to take a look at it because I haven't really seen it, so I don't really know. It was funny because if anybody was in my Cube video the other day, yesterday, I was actually talking about magic waifus. So, because I have a couple of them, I have 3 magic waifus, and so I got to talk about them a little bit yesterday. I mean, I can bring them up if you guys want. So, Bo Falcon's really well aware of one of my main magic waifus, which is really a silly one because it's like I love it. But Palladium Moors, the Queen of Dragons, is like my main magic waifu. Like that's right, I'm in love with a dragon. Come at me, bro. I just really love the lore, and I actually have a lot of nostalgia for the original card. It made a major impact on me as a kid when I was first getting into Magic. And it was kind of like the card that made me realize that I loved Magic in the first place. And the lore behind Palladium Moors is really deep and interesting. She's a really interesting and scary, powerful dragon. So I really like her a lot. And I actually own a Legends copy of Palladium Moors, and I also own 2 copies, 2 foil copies of the reprinted, or I should say updated print of Palladium Moors from the recent core set they did her in. One of them was given to me. One of them was given to me by a friend, and the other one was given to me by my friend Bo Falcon, who's part of the channel. Yeah, that's my dragon waifu, and my planeswalker waifu is because like I have a dragon waifu, a planeswalker waifu, and a human waifu. So my planeswalker waifu is Elspeth, which is why I'm super excited about her coming back in the new set coming out. I don't know where to put my palette. I need to put my palette somewhere. I'll just put it right here. It's fine. Yeah, I'm really... Elspeth is like one of my favorite planeswalkers, and I think she's really hot. I don't think this is a good color for this. Well, actually, maybe I can, like, bring it on over here a little bit, and, like... Let's see here. Yeah, so Elspeth is kind of my planeswalker waifu. Like, I always thought she was really an interesting character, and I think she's really hot. Oh, see, that's interesting. See, it looks all right there, but I think that's because it's a different, sharper color. So if I can just kind of, you know what, I'll bring you guys a little closer to what I'm doing. Oh god, in the camera that does not look how I want it to look at all. It looks okay over here, but it doesn't look okay over here, so we're gonna have to change that. So yeah, Elspeth is a really interesting character that I liked. I always thought she was really deep. I liked her in, like, the overall storyline of Alara, and I liked, you know, all the things she did in New Phyrexia. So, I mean, you know, I'm a big fan of her, and I just always thought she was really cute and interesting, and, like, if you guys have ever read the actual book for Alara, like, first of all, I gotta say, the Alara book has, like, a lot of plot holes in it, and a lot of, like, loose ends that don't make any sense. It's not really an amazing, like, magic novel, but they do some really interesting things with a lot of different characters in it. So, like, for example, like there's a whole storyline to that famous knight in Alara, the guy who's like the king of Exalted. People make like EDH decks out of him all the time. And then there's like Rakamar, who's really interesting. Like she's a really important character in the storyline. And then Ajani and Elspeth are like the two like major like planeswalker characters in there. And Elspeth is just like really interesting. Like they just made her a really interesting character in the book, and that's what made me really like her a lot. Um, and she's just like a really strong-willed character. Like I've talked about this before, but I personally like my personal taste in women. I think that women that are really strong and independent and outgoing are really sexy. So like Elspeth is like in the lore and stuff like that. She's a very like strong, like independent woman who goes out and gets what she wants, and like she doesn't care what anybody else thinks. She just goes out and she does what she thinks is the right thing to do. Um, and I personally think that's a really sexy characteristic, and that's what I've always really liked about her. And she's just really interesting. Like she's actually a major hero in a lot of different storylines. Like she has a major impact on what happens in Alara. She has a major, huge, like she's one of the absolute pinnacle characters of what goes down in New Phyrexia. Mm. But I realized I also probably need some black over here, or maybe some blue. I'm not totally sure. I think I'm going to go ahead and set up some blue and some black to, because I am going to need it. So I'm going to zoom out here. But yeah, I really like Elspeth a lot. Like she's just really cool. And the last character that my last magic waifu, who's just like a normal human character, she's not a planeswalker or anything like that, is I love Joira, or Joira, I guess. I like she's another one of those kinds of characters who's like really strong, really independent. She's outgoing, like she gets what she wants and she accomplishes a lot. And she's also a really like Elspeth is pretty deep. Joira is way deeper of a character, way deeper. Like I'm talking about and the thing is too is like she has like this incredibly long storyline. Like she has like all this stuff going on with Teferi. Like she knew Urza. Like she spent a lot of time with Urza. She spent a lot of time with Karn. She's been in and out of many different storylines, so they've had plenty of time to develop her as this really deep and interesting character. And she's like cute and she's sexy. Like you know what I mean? And I like her a lot. And also, like, I like the idea that she's immortal. Like, that might seem like a weird characteristic to like in a character like that, but I always like the idea that she's, like, this immortal human being. And, God, that blue is so funky. Let me kind of stir that up. It's super weird. It's, like, clear in certain spots and, like, dark blue in other spots. It's very strange. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit, make sure it gets that proper blue coloration to it. But yeah, so those are my three magic waifus: is Palladium Moors, the Dragon Queen, Elspeth, the Planeswalker, and Joira, the immortal human wizard chick. So I really like them as characters. Like, and that's the thing is because like it's not just about like the idea of like oh they're sexy. They're actually just really interesting characters. They're all super deep. Like even if you wouldn't expect like Claudia Moore's, like you guys might not know about her, but she's badass. Like she was like she like took over like an entire like country and like enslaved the entire country and things like that. And like there was like a human uprising that eventually stopped her, but it took a long time, like of tyranny and stuff like that. And she also is like one of the coolest things about Claudia Moore's that I always thought was cool. She was able to resurrect an undead army using white magic. So, like, she used white magic to create, like, zombies and, like, take over the country. It was really cool. Really brutal. Yeah, Joira is super cute. I like her a lot, too. I'm going to go ahead and make a purple to start with. So we're going to get some red here. I'm going to put it over here, just kind of like that. But she's super interesting too. Like I like her a lot, and I always thought that like for some reason, the fact that she's immortal is a really interesting characteristic about her that I like. Because, like, I mean, she's still, like, mortal, like, she can still be killed, you know? But, like, she lives forever. Like, she basically has, like, immortality through, like, eternal youth and things like that, and she can't die of, like, old age or sickness or anything like that. And it just makes her, like, really interesting. Like, she's just kind of, like, stuck in this immortal body, and she gets to, like, see everything pass her by, and it makes her this really interesting and deep character. Um, and, like, the whole thing about, like, another thing, too, is that even though I consider Joyra to be, like, my waifu, I always actually really liked the fact that there was a really interesting love story between her and Teferi. Because I actually really like Teferi a lot too, and it was one of those few times where it's like, yeah, I have like I consider Joyra to be my waifu, but I also really love the like dynamic love story between those two characters because they're really interesting characters and their relationship is also extremely fascinating as well, and I really enjoy it. So, but yeah. Okay, so this red's a little bit darker. I kind of made like a violet color here, and I'm going to try and work with it and see if I can go over that light red that I made by accident. I mean, making that red was intentional. I just didn't realize how it was going to affect the actual art. So, it's just kind of... I want it... Ooh, I think that works. It's still a little bright, though. Yeah, it's still a bit bright. Yeah. Alright, well I'm going to have to darken it a bit more, which is fine. I'm still going to lay down this layer so I can get a better comparison of it, but I think it's still not dark enough. I'm just kind of laying it down a little bit, giving myself an idea of how this looks. Yeah, it's still too bright, so we're going to tone it down more. What I am going to do, though, is I am going to spread that paint down a little bit, so I'm wetting my brush. And I'm going to just kind of like spread out this particular portion because it was really splotchy when I laid it down. So I'm just kind of like trying to make it so it's less splotchy. But I do need to darken it. So that's fine. I'll just add a little bit more blue. We'll get kind of like closer to like a darker purple color, kind of. And that'll probably make it fit nicer. We'll also hit it with some white in a little while so that way we can tone down the color a bit. But for right now, we just need to get that proper purple color going. So I'm going to bring the palette back over. And I'm going to add just a little bit more blue. Not too much. That's probably a good amount. And I'm just going to go ahead and mix that up. Kind of darken it a bit. It's definitely got a different kind of purple tone to it now. So let me kind of, well, it's still really red. Let me see. Maybe I'm going to add a little bit more blue, because that still looks a little too bright to me. Yeah. Maybe just like another little swish of blue will probably do it. Maybe not that much. Maybe that might be just right. But yeah, those are, like, I really like deep characters in magic lore and stuff like that. Like, I mean, because that's, like, what really attracts me to the intrigue of a particular character. Like, I recently got Mike Hatcher to start reading the Old Legend novel. He's almost done with it, which means I'm going to have to find, like, the next novel, because those novels are hard to find. But I will try and get my hands on it very soon, so I can send it out to him. But there's this really this awesome character. Like, she's so freaking cool. And they've never printed her on a card. She was like a character that was invented for the novels. And she's so cool. It's a character named Adira Strongheart. For anybody who recognizes that name from those novels or something like that, she's so cool. She's like so first of all, she's a pirate, and she's just a super badass pirate who I mean, she's a little too hardcore for me, like I don't consider her to be a waifu because she's not quite there for me, in her personality and character. But ignoring that, ignoring the fact that I don't think that she's waifu material for me personally, she's so freaking cool. She's so cool, and like they do kind of explain in the book that she's also really sexy looking. Like they make lots of like I mean, it's not constant fan service. Like they're not beating you over the head with it to a point of where it's annoying, but they do give you opportunities like with visualization through like context and the words and stuff like that. They give you an idea that she's really hot looking, and but she's basically this super badass like sexy pirate who takes like no shit from nobody, and like she kills people like it's nothing, and she's super cool. Like she's super cool character. um and it's so fun following her in her adventures in those Legends novels. It's so cool. And like she's such a badass that I kind of wish that they would actually turn her into a card. Um which is kind of funny because I've noticed that like in some of the Commander products they've been like um printing like characters that are not necessarily on cards, or they're not exactly, and if they were printed on cards it was like a super long time ago. Like I know they did like Crick like as a character for one of the commander one of the commander decks or whatever. And I don't remember, but I don't remember 100% sure, but I don't think that Crick actually ever had a card before that. So like knowing that, I think it would be really cool if for like a commander product they actually like printed a copy of Adira Strongheart, because she's so cool. She's so cool. Um, yeah, Sarah's a little cutie patootie too. I actually have a copy of the Sarah Planeswalker because I think Sarah is super interesting. But she's a really sad little girl. Like, I mean, she's a very tragic character. Um, like the whole story about her death and like why she died the way that she did is really sad. Um, but I mean, I think they did a good job with her card for Modern Horizons. Like I mean, one of the things though too is that like I like the idea of like pre-mending planeswalkers. So like pre-mending planeswalkers could never have like planeswalker cards because like the pre-mending planeswalkers were like super hyper mega powerful gods, that could basically do anything that they wanted whenever they wanted. So you can't really personify that on a card. And so, like, even though I really like the Sarah Planeswalker card, um, I don't like it in the sense of, like, being a proper, like, representation of, like, who Sarah actually was as a Planeswalker. So, I mean, but I do like the card. I really do. And I love the art as well. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know how I truly feel about it. But I do like owning it. I do like having it in my collection. And I do want to eventually, like, one of the cards that I have my eyes on right now, like I told you guys I was on TCG Player a little bit before I started the stream, and I was actually looking up prices on some cards that I want to get really soon. And one of them is Yawgmoth, the Thran Physician. I really want a copy of that guy. I'm gonna put him in my cube because he's pretty decent. Like, I mean, I can easily see him fitting in my cube very nicely and working out pretty well. Um, but like, he's gone down a lot. But you know what's really interesting is he's a really expensive foil. I was kind of like looking around on the foils, and he's a small fortune as a foil, which kind of sucks because I was kind of hoping that, like, I knew like that he was not going to be as popular as people originally thought he was going to be. So I've been watching his price go down, but man, that foil just it feels like it keeps going up and up, which is not, like I don't know. I just really like Yawgmoth. Like I know that he would actually be pretty good in my cube. But a major part of me wanting to own him is because he's Yawgmoth, man. Like Yawgmoth is such a prolific, badass villain. Like, he's amazing. And I just like the idea of having him as a character in my cube. Um, And I mean, my cube doesn't really have like any themes going on or anything like that. I just kind of like put cards that I think are super cool in it. And sometimes I do in fact pick cards just because of the flavor rather than specifically of the power level, things like that. Um, I think so, Craig. I think that we're pre-mending planeswalkers. I still like the idea that like I'm like when I play Magic, like I like the idea that I'm like this ultra powerful like godlike being that is technically more powerful than actual gods. Like that's the original representation of planeswalkers is that they're beings that are like godlike, but they're way beyond gods. Like gods, like for example, like I think they did a great job with personifying what gods are in like the Theros block because it gives you this really good separation between what a planeswalker is and what a god is. So I really like how they handled that in Theros and stuff like that because it goes and shows you that like, and they also established that in the old lore, like planeswalkers are treated like gods, but they're more powerful than gods in the storyline. Like because like the idea is that like gods are tied to whatever plane that they're on. Like, but planeswalkers can go anywhere and do anything. So like they're technically, based on the storyline and the lore, they're more powerful than gods, which is really cool. Um, and I mean, yeah, that's the thing of like why I don't like planeswalker cards is because like planeswalker cards kind of like don't really represent the idea of like what the players actually are anymore. So like they decided that like, oh well, planeswalkers are no longer the players. Planeswalkers are these cards and all this stuff. And it's like, well, then what are the players? So I like to imagine that like I don't know, like sometimes I like to think that maybe players in the game of Magic are now like super planeswalkers, like because we have the ability to summon planeswalkers to, work for us. So it's like a planeswalker being able to like pay mana, like use and manipulate mana to like summon a planeswalker to do your bidding, in my opinion, that means you're actually more powerful than an actual planeswalker because like you're forcing them to work for you. And like yeah, they have the whole thing of like, well, it's based on loyalty and like they can always go and do their own thing and the more you use them, the less like loyalty they have to you and all this stuff because they're actually independent planeswalkers doing their own thing and they're choosing to work with you and it's like, nah, man, I'm summoning that guy like he's my bitch. I love that feeling. I prefer that one over the other ideas. Hmm. But yeah, I don't know. I like the idea that like that we're like super powerful, godlike beings. Summoning things to do our bidding, and we're in super power. We're going into like wars basically against each other in like multi-dimensional planes and things like that. Like I always thought that was really cool. Um, But yeah, so I hold true to that. I try. And that's why I've gotten also like okay with like planeswalker cards because like when they first introduced planeswalker cards, I thought they were really lame because I was like, well, now you're making like what you're ruining what like the players are supposed to be. But like I think I've actually come to terms with it ever since I went with the idea of like, oh well, that just means that the players are way more powerful than planeswalkers because we're summoning them, right? So like, and that's why I've come to terms with them because it's like I feel like even though it's not the intention of Wizards of the Coast that they did this, but they've basically created a game state like an overall like idea that like yeah, now that planeswalkers are actual cards, that just means we're way more powerful than they are. Like, and I like that. I'm okay with that. Because I like the idea of, like, I don't know. The idea of playing a game where you're, like, simulating, like, a godlike being is really cool to me. So, I'm okay with that. um, I just wish they could write, like, more interesting characters into their roster of planeswalkers. That would be really nice. Because, like, I mean, all these Gatewatch characters really suck. I mean, I feel like they're getting better at it, but at the same time, I still feel like they're not really sure what they're doing, Um, Ratherwood says, that's how it was explained to me. Craig Mabut says, that's why EDH is my favorite. You get to pick your general roster and spells you want to cast. Yeah, I could see that. Ratherwood says, you collect power from lands and summon things to fight for you. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you know, like, that's what makes it really cool. Um, excuse me. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm okay with the idea of what it's become now, and I know it'll never be the same as what I remember from when I was a kid, but that's alright, you know, like, I can be comfortable knowing that I'm more powerful than these stupid Planeswalker cards are, you know? Because, I mean, like, the cards, like, the Planeswalker cards, they only have, like, a limited roster of things they can do. They get, like, 3, maybe 4 total abilities. You know? Meanwhile, I'm slinging like 60 spells, bro. Come at me. Like, you know, like you're doing like 3, maybe 4 things at a time. Dude, I got 60 goddamn cards I can throw at you at any one moment. Come at me, home slice, you know? Like, you know, you're over there sitting in a corner twiddling up 1/1 white soldiers like every turn. I'm gonna throw down like this big beefy green beat stick, and then I'm gonna throw down an enchantment that stops you from doing things. And then I'm gonna like, you know, like throw down an artifact that's gonna generate a ton of mana for me and accelerate me into oblivion. Like, get on my level, Planeswalker bitch. Like, you know? Oh man, it's too funny. So I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I've accepted it. Okay, so I kind of like laid down just like this overall base coat of like this purplish red, and it doesn't really totally fit with everything, but we're gonna like blend other colors in to get it to the right shade. Um, and so I mean it looks off right now, but I promise it's gonna blend in a lot better once we start adding other colors and adding details and things like that. I just want to make sure that I have like a nice solid coat in all the places where I want it to like, you know, be the right color. So I'm just kind of going over certain spots that kind of stand out to me. Mostly like anything that looks kind of gray, I just kind of am like covering in the purplish paint. Um, so the first thing I think I want to do is I think I actually want to add in some of that lighter red that we were working with. And I want to do just kind of like a really light coat all across here. Like I'm probably going to do like a diagonal coat, like probably from here all the way across diagonally. So we're going to try that out and see how it works. I'm going to try and be super light with it. I don't want it to be too heavy, so I'm just going to kind of like very carefully add it in like right there, just to kind of like see how it blends. And I'm also like blotting it, like I don't want it to be like this deep heavy coat of this lighter reddish color, because I'm trying to get it to blend and like look better alongside of like the other colors. So it's kind of what I'm trying to work with here. Let me just kind of throw a little bit over here, and we'll also like hit it with some white as well, because that's going to tone down the color. It's a little too heavy there. Let's see. How does that look? It's all right. It's all right. I'll probably hit it with the purple again. I'll probably go over a layer of it just to kind of blend it better. Yeah. It just kind of like it. Like a thing about this too, when you're working with these kinds of paints, is that it's okay to go over in layers to get it to be the right particular shade that you need it to be. And a lot of the time, like, going over it in layers, like, it'll just also add, like, details to it. Like, I was telling you guys, like, I like to do a misting effect, and that misting effect can often, like, even if the color is super thick in one particular area and it doesn't look quite right, you can kind of mist over it with other colors to give it an extra level of detail that, like, just seems, it feels more suitable and more proper to what you are actually trying to accomplish. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here, is I'm just kind of trying to add some shade of this color, get it blended right, and I'm also going really light with it, or at least trying to. Trying to go light with it. There we go. There we go. So now I'm going to, let's see, actually I'm going to add just a little bit more, but I'm going to put it in a different spot. I'm going to put it kind of just a little bit over here, just very lightly, just like that. I'll put a little bit over here as well, just like that. I might make it longer, but first I want to kind of like make the colors blend a little bit better before I try to do that. Another thing too I'm realizing is I'm going to need a pink pretty soon. Well, yeah, well, you know what? We'll try the white. We'll try the white and we'll see what happens, because that might actually make a major impact on how this looks. So, because like sometimes you don't actually need like when you're doing stuff where it's like you're adding darker shades or like even like a white shade to like change the appearance of a particular color through because like it's involved with transparency. So like sometimes I can lay over like a light shade of black, and the other colors will kind of bleed through the black, but it still gives it that darker shade that you need. So it's not like pure black. You can do that with white as well. So sometimes you can lay down a layer of white and it blends really nicely and it has the right kind of transparency. So you don't actually have to make a brand new color in order for it to like suit well with the other colors. So we're going to try that real quick. So I have this white here. I don't want it to be too heavy, so I'm just going to kind of like be kind of light with it. And I'm kind of like trying to lay it over in lighter and lighter shades as I get closer to this area. And you'll actually notice right away it's kind of turning into more of like a snowy, almost pinkish color like immediately when I'm like adding it. So it blends better. It really does. There's still a possibility that I might have to lay over a layer of white, but it is actually blending the way that I was expecting it to. So, which is a good thing, you know. Like I'm kind of like saying like this is how you do it, and then it's nice when I lay it down and it actually does it, you know. So I'm just gonna keep on adding that white, getting it nice and covered in all the areas that it needs to be. I think I'll probably just kind of like thicken up the white in a couple of areas, just like right here. Definitely right here. This is an important spot that needs a lot of white. And then kind of lightly add some like just right here, like so. And I'll kind of like blend it up alongside, but with the black, it kind of like darkens itself automatically, so it just looks a little bit better. But I'm also going to add it just a little bit here, just to kind of like give you that nice snowy appearance. Yeah. So this particular spot I'm noticing I'm definitely going to have to hit it with a red. I might actually try to go for that darker red that we were using to kind of cover the whole area. So that's probably what I'm going to have to do just to get it to like fit right, just to look right. I'm just kind of adding a little bit of shade of white, just to kind of lay it over this pinkish color. So look at that, it's already kind of like blending pretty nicely. Let me kind of hit this area just a little bit. I'm trying to like be pretty careful with it, because you don't want it to like overpower with the white coloration, because that's going to make you pretty unhappy when you're trying to blend it all together. So we're just kind of being very careful. Here, let me kind of rub a little bit more of that off. There we go. And just kind of blending it in, blending that in, just like that. And that looks a lot better. It really does. It kind of let me kind of bring the camera just a little bit closer so it can focus a bit better. Come on. That looks a bit better. Yeah. That looks a lot nicer. Okay, sweet. But I do need that purple color, so I'm going to have to definitely add that purple color over the top. So I'm just going to get a little teeny tiny bit of it. Just a really, really super light coating of it, because I definitely do not want to make this too heavy, because it'll get all messed up if it's too heavy. So I'm just kind of like blending it in, bringing it down very carefully. Just like that. Just like that. Yeah, it looks a lot better. Kind of bring it up just a little bit more. I might also add a little bit of black Um, the black is also going to probably tone the red a little bit better to like blend in up at the top here. So I think that's also what I'm going to have to do just to get it just right. So, let's see here. You know, somebody mentioned earlier about talking about Wizards of the Coast going back to Kamigawa. I would actually be really interested to see what they do. And you know what? Like, I've kind of thought about it a few times, and like, there were times where I was saying to myself, like, I don't think I'd ever want to see them go back because I'm afraid they would ruin it. But like, at the same time, like, I kind of want to see them try. You know? Like, I think that they could pull it off. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just that I feel like that, you know, like, I can trust like, I mean, not trust WotC based on their products, obviously, but I feel like I can trust WotC in handling a set, you know, a storyline. So I kind of wouldn't mind seeing them go back to Kamigawa. I get this feeling that, like, they could probably do it. My only concern is because, like, I mean, I think they could probably do Kamigawa, but, like, I would be worried if they said, like, would say, go back to New Phyrexia. I think they could do Kamigawa. I don't think they could do New Phyrexia. I don't think they could do it again. What they did, like, with the original creation of, like, New Phyrexia, like, destroying Mirrodin and taking it over with Phyrexia, I think they did a great job with that, and that was way before they started changing all of like their storytelling and stuff like that. I don't think they could do it again. You know, I really don't think that they could pull it off again. Um, but Kamigawa is so tame. Like, they did have a really deep storyline in Kamigawa, but I think that it's so tame that they could actually probably handle it if they went back. Um, and I mean, I don't know that for sure, but I mean, I think they could do it. Like, I don't know. It's not like I trust them to like make like this absolutely spectacular storyline or anything, but I think they could probably, you know, they could probably pull something off that is all right. But I don't know. I really don't know. Um, it would just be kind of interesting to see. Like, see, the thing that's really weird about Kamigawa is that Kamigawa, like the storyline that took place in Kamigawa, like for the Kamigawa block, was a story in the far-flung past. So like it wasn't like a current storyline. For example, when I say that, like the storyline of Kamigawa takes place like multiple generations before the storyline in Legends. So like it's like a piece of ancient history that occurred way, way, way before like early Dominaria history. You know, so like and the idea too is that things that happened in Kamigawa in that great ancient past later on affected Dominaria. So, like, for example, if the things that happened in Kamigawa didn't happen, like, there's a whole bunch of things that would have never happened in the overall storyline on Dominaria and the history of Dominaria. So, like, it would just be really interesting because I don't know, like, what kind of, like, I don't know how they would be able to jump from the ancient timeline history of Kamigawa into, like, the current. Like, I don't know if they would continue on and tell a storyline that's in the ancient past, or if they would just be like, nope, everything is current, this is the current timeline, like, all this stuff going on. Here's, you know, current planeswalkers that we are very aware of, who are now in the current timeline, which is now headed over into Kamigawa. So, who knows? I don't really know how they would do it. I would be curious to see it, though. Like, I mean, it's possible that they could handle it. I mean, I don't really know, but, I mean, I'd say that it's worth a try. Just trying to add in this black very lightly. Trying to be careful with it so it's not overpowering on my purples and my reds. I keep checking up on the camera to make sure that it looks right. The camera's like a second pair of eyes. Like, it's actually really nice when I'm doing painting. It helps keep me in line with what I'm doing. So, like, because sometimes my eyes can't see like the really teeny tiny details, and having the camera that can easily, like, even when it's just a smidge bit blurry, it's able to really pick up on all the teeny tiny details that I'm working on while I'm painting. So it's a major boon. Um, See, the only problem now is I don't really know where to go with this. I don't know if I should keep on like defining these mountain ridges better. Maybe what I'll do is I'll kind of like make a few smaller peaks here. Just kind of like that. Like, for example, here's what I'll do. I'll like cover this entire area with like white, so it's like snowy. So I'll add like this black to kind of better define this rock. And then I'll add like a layer of like red, like right here. And then we'll hit it with some white so that it looks more like a snowy mountain, like on the lower portion. So let's go ahead and try that. We're going to try that right now. And make sure I get like a good amount on there. Rub it off just a little bit. And I'm going to just kind of like add it very, very lightly. Yeah, that looks really good actually. That's blending really well. I was actually not sure how that was going to turn out, but it's blending nicely. These colors are all working together really well, which is very good. Because I was worried that sometimes when like I take like, because obviously the last time I was working on this painting was like last week, so sometimes like it's hard to recreate like the right kind of colors that you used like a week before, you know. So it's really nice that I've got these new colors that I'm working with, and they're all blending really well, which is great. Because as I mentioned before, I actually like make all of my colors using prime colors. So like sometimes being able to perfectly replicate a color that I used previously is very, very tough to do. I'm actually going to hit this with a whole bunch of this red because I want this to be a peak that's like that you can see very clearly from a distance. And I'll do some lower, like, shaded black mountains down here on the bottom. So it'll look really nice. You guys will see what I'm talking about once I actually get it better settled. So just kind of like adding that in, making sure that it's, you know, looking very mountainous and nice. There we go. So now I'm going to hit it with a bit of white. I'm also going to like lower some of the white down to this edge over here so that it just kind of fits better. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So now I'm getting some white. And I'm just going to kind of, first I'm going to start over here actually. I'm just kind of, it's pretty bright there, so we're just going to spread that out. Maybe I'll also bring it up here just a little bit. Just a little bit. There. And then this is what I really wanted to focus on, was I wanted to kind of bring it around on this edge, like so. And then kind of like sweep it down around the sides. And the idea is that this is supposed to be like a peak that you can see from plain view. So like, because these are like shaded peaks over here on the sides, so you can't see them really well. I will be hitting it with a layer of black in the middle, but I wanted to establish this white first and then paint around it as I go. So just kind of lay that down there, just very lightly, and then you can also like add like a couple streaks here, just to kind of like add a little bit more snowy character to it. Snowy character, you know? That character made of snow. Thank you, Craig. I'm glad you like it, man. Working pretty hard. I really want this to like look really nice. So the Kamigawa lands always kind of bring a little bit extra out of me, you know, because they're so pretty. I'm going to take a quick coffee break here. All right. I'm going to pour myself another cup of coffee. I'm such a coffee addict. It's terrible. But, like, not really. Like I say, it's terrible, but it's not really terrible. I love it. I drink so much coffee. This is, like, my 8th cup of coffee today. Like, so much. Delicious. I poured eggnog in it. That's my classic favorite thing to do. It's also nice is I can kind of like review, like while I'm kind of stopping for a minute and kind of look at the details to kind of get a better idea of like how it's coming out. Like I can see that I'm going to want to change some of the shades over here on this side in particular. Probably develop this area, like this rock formation a bit more. Obviously I want to add more black over on this side, that's for sure, because that'll blend nicer. Probably have to bring this black down around the side here. Alright, let's kind of get back into this. Wet the brush again. I recently found out about wet palettes. They keep the paints from drying out. Yeah, you know, somebody else was actually telling me about that not too long ago. I mean, I use like palette paper, which is like a special kind of paper that's specifically designed for preventing like paints from like sticking and stuff like that. And I mean, it does just fine. I mean, it's not like, you know, like a fancy like wet palette like what you're talking about, but you know, I'm okay with it. Just kind of want to thin out this black a bit, so I'm kind of like desperately trying to like dry it out just a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit right here, just like that. Kind of blend it down off to the side. I might actually, you know, I might actually have to look into the wet palette thing, because I'm actually kind of curious now. Like, you're not the first person to tell me about it, so now I'm thinking maybe it might be something that is actually, like, relevant to what I'm doing, and, like, maybe I should actually, like, get on board. I do need to upgrade a lot of my art supplies. There's a lot of things that I want to upgrade. I'm also trying to, like, just in general... Like, one of the things that I really want to do is I want to acquire oil paints. I don't have any oils. And I'm thinking that my next major project might require me to, like, dabble in using, like, oil paints and things like that. Not totally sure yet, but it might be good to get some experience with. So I am curious about it. I am really curious about it. God, that looks so good in the camera! I was, like, unsure about it when I was looking at it with my eyes, but this one in particular, this one right here, I was, like, really unsure about. And, like, I'm getting a better look at it in the camera, and it's like, oh, that does actually look really good like that. I definitely want to kind of bring this around a little bit more. Flatten that side out. Kind of bring this in here, just kind of like that. Definitely give it that darker shade. I never used it. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube on how to make it. Oh, it's not something you buy, it's something you make? Okay. Well, I'll take a look at that, dude. That sounds actually pretty interesting. I might be interested in trying something out like that, especially if it's just something that I can make rather than something I could buy. So I'm not really interested in the idea of, like, having to really buy a whole bunch of, like, products. I mean, I could do it if I really had to, but, I mean, I'd prefer to, like, test things out and, you know, do makeshift stuff, which actually sounds kind of fun to me. In fact, actually, when I first started, like, doing all this painting stuff, a lot of my setup was actually homemade paint supplies and stuff like that, and, like, I used to have, like, dude, you guys, I know that a lot of you probably have not seen my really old streams. I used to paint on a cardboard box. I actually bought this really nice, this painting setup, just to get rid of the cardboard box, because a lot of my fans were like, dude, come on, you gotta get rid of the cardboard box, it's so ugly, and I'm like, alright, I'll get something nicer. But I also didn't want to, like, at the time that I was using the cardboard box, it was because I didn't know if I really wanted to, like, start, like, doing my painting streams and stuff like that. Like, I wasn't sure, like, how I was feeling about actually streaming you know, and stuff like that. So I kind of like didn't care. I was like, well, I'll just kind of use what I got and see how I feel about it. And then I kind of like after doing it a few times, I was like, no, I really really enjoy this. Like I want to actually like make an effort to like improve the overall experience for my audience while I'm painting. So that's when I went out and I bought like this nice little table specifically for painting and stuff like that. And I don't regret it. I actually really love it because it's a much nicer thing to like work on. It's definitely done me a lot of good. So I kind of prefer it at this point. I don't think I could ever go back. And I mean, it's actually funny because this particular setup is designed for modeling. So like for example, for like making like airplane models and stuff like that, that's what it's actually designed for. So, but I do just fine with it as painting. Like I don't see any difference. Nobody's telling me not to use it. Like you know, it's fine. It's definitely got all these nice slots for like all my paints and my paintbrushes and stuff. So it's very useful. Like it's definitely a wonderful setup that I have going here. Let me kind of zoom out and show you guys the overall progress because I think it's looking really nice. This is an area I really need to work on better, though. I need to do more stuff with this. And I think I know what I can do to make it look a little bit better. So let me try something real quick, just to add a little bit of color that will kind of push me in the right direction for this particular area over here. Because it doesn't look right to me, so we're going to try and make it look right. So I'm going to use this lighter red color that I got over here on the side. And we're going to see how it looks when I kind of put a layer down over on this side. Just to kind of lighten it up. Just to kind of lighten up this area just a little bit. Not too heavy, not too heavy. Just very light. Very, very light. That does look a lot better. What do you guys think? That look a lot better to you? I think it looks a lot better. Just kind of trying to be extra careful with it because I don't want it to be too heavy in the color because it's still in a darker area, so you have to keep in mind the shading in this particular area. But I do want it to like blend. I want the colors to align. I want it to look like you know, like it's properly shaded for the placement of like the rock and the mountain and all that. So I'm just kind of trying to make it fit better. Maybe put a little bit more over here as well. Just kind of, because it kind of has this interesting like shading effect over on this particular side. Like this side's darker, and the parts that stand out are like the snow with the brighter white, which you can clearly see up here closer to the top. But as you get lower over to this particular side, it kind of gets a little darker. The whites kind of mute a little bit and mix in with the reds more. So that's kind of what I'm trying to accomplish with this particular side. Let's see. I'm going to add just a little bit more. Really spread that out. Really just kind of blend it right. There. Yeah. Draw some boobs on it. Oh, Craig, you crack me up, dude. Oh, man. You know, it's actually really funny. Speaking of boobs, I've been wanting to teach myself how to be a better sketch artist, like, you know, pencil drawing and pen drawing and stuff like that. And one of the things I really want to get into is, like, drawing more of, like, an anime style. Because I'm not the most amazing at drawing, like, an anime style. In fact, my very close friend, you guys probably saw her, you guys saw her in my cooking stream. She actually, like, draws anime. She's a digital artist. And her art is fantastic, too, you guys. Like, it's really awesome. Like, I'm thoroughly impressed with how she, you know, does her art. And she's actually currently going to school to learn how to be a better artist. So, her art's amazing. And she does, like, anime style and stuff like that. But one of the things that I really want to do is I want to learn that kind of, like, anime style. Craig's accusing me of wanting to draw and paint hentai. Well, here's the thing. It's not necessarily nudity I'm after, okay? It's, I want to be able to draw more, like, proper human figures. I'm not very good at drawing or painting human figures. It's very tough for me. I keep practicing and trying to get better at it. But if I learned like a more proper like anime style, like you know the classic drawing and anime style, I would definitely because female form is actually really tough for me in particular. Um, I can do it here and there. I have some like female form sketches that I've done. Some of them look really good, and some of them look really ugly. But it's something that I want to practice and get better at. And the overall anime style, they're really good at female figures. And obviously, like you know, anime style is not like like proper modeling of a realistic human being, but it teaches you how to like use curvature better, and that's really what I want to learn how to do. Um, yes, the onesie. Oh my god, I hope that catches on, the onesie girl. Uh, yeah, she was super cute in that, wasn't she? If anybody's curious, the onesie she was wearing, I know people keep saying it's a Pokemon. It's not a Pokemon. She was dressed up in a onesie that makes her look like, I think it's called a Murloc, and it's like a creature from World of Warcraft. I think I told you she's a gamer girl. She plays lots of World of Warcraft and she plays Final Fantasy 14. And that onesie was apparently a creature called a Murloc from World of Warcraft. And she loves it. It looks so cute on her. I love it. But yeah, that's what she's wearing, and but yeah, she's really cool. Like I love hanging out with her. She's a very close friend of mine. And yeah, her art is amazing. Like I've been constantly encouraging her to keep on working on her art, and she just gets better and better at it every time. Like she'll send me like photos of like her most recent artwork, and she's so good, you guys. She's so good. To a point where like she's going to school to like teach herself to be better at it. And I keep just encouraging her about it because she's so good. Like I think she has a lot of talent, and she just should not give up on it. So I'm really excited because like a while ago she told me she's getting back into college because she kind of like gave up on it. And like you know from plenty of encouragement from like me and her other friends and her family, she's finally going back to school specifically to get into art classes and be a better artist. And like I excited for her. I really want to see her succeed. You know. Um, but yeah, she's really good at drawing anime and things like that, and I wish I could do that. I actually think I've told her a couple times that I really want her to teach me how to do it so that I could be better. Um, she actually might be watching. I don't think she's actually in here watching this right now. But she has recently, like, ever since I got her to be in that stream where I was cooking for her birthday, she actually like rewatched that stream, and I think she's a little more interested in the streams that I'm doing now. So like I think she might eventually like actually watch this or something. Who knows? Um, so I mean, if she happens to in the future watch this, shout out to her. You know. But she's busy. She's actually at work right now, so I couldn't expect her to actually be here. But you never know. You never know. Just kind of like trying to add more of this red lower down here because it's got sharp. The lower it goes, the sharper the colors get. Um, so I'm trying to like definitely make it so the colors down here are a lot sharper. There we go. And I'm probably going to add like a whole bunch of like white over here. Like I just want to like make it like I'll add like a few black lines, you know? Like I want it to look more like a snow valley down here closer to the bottom. So in order to do that, I'm going to do like a few areas of black lines just to make them look like smaller peaks, like really really small ridges and peaks. And then I'm going to add like a whole bunch of white so that it's like excuse me. Ew. So that way it's like a snow valley down here at the bottom. It'll look really nice. Um, yeah, so I'm kind of just trying to get my white all set up. I'm actually going to place it over here to start with. Just kind of like over here, off to the sides. And like you guys might know that I'm kind of doing this weird swiping effect. So like I want it to be heavy right here on the edges, but then I kind of want it to be lighter when I go over to the sides. And that kind of gives it this like almost like natural like windswept appearance to it, which is kind of what I'm trying to put over here. I'm also going to add some black over on this side in particular, because once again it's you know, it's got that black rocky effect, and I'm kind of like trying to keep some of the darker shades over here apparent. So like right here as well as over here is going to be a lot darker. Just kind of trying to be very light with it. Light brush strokes, light brush strokes. And I'm going to go for that black and just kind of establish it over on that side a little bit. And let's see, I'm going to kind of... oh, this is going to be tough. Okay, hold on a second. Just got to make sure it's alright. And I'm just kind of like being really light with it. That's the thing about this, is like it's all about being very light, very careful with each stroke. Kind of trying to add some sides here off to the sides, just like that. Kind of shades it, you know, gives it a darker appearance, but not makes it like pitch black, which is exactly what I'm trying to do. Well, I mean, you know, not pitch black is what I'm trying to do, is what I'm saying. In case that wasn't clearly obvious. I'm just kind of adding a little bit more off to the sides over here. Just like that. Just like that. That looks so nice. I'm so happy. This is coming out really nice, guys. And now I'm going to go back over to the white again. And I'm just going to kind of get a nice shade going here. And I'm going to start over on this side in particular, because I want to kind of just really lightly add this in. Just like that. Might have to like actually darken that, I'm not sure yet. We'll see. We'll see. I'll let it stay like that for right now, but I might have to come back and darken it. I'm just kind of adding in this big thick white right over the side. Just in the bottom corner here, I really want it to have like a big white appearance. Like I said, it's supposed to kind of look like a snow valley a little bit, like just like a little valley. You know, that way it's not all peaks everywhere, because like if you just kind of do the same kind of peaks like over and over and over again, it gets a little boring, you know? It looks kind of like less natural, sort of. So I kind of like the idea of there just being this open valley of snow right off to the side over here. Just kind of gives it a more natural look, I feel like, you know? And I always like the really natural look for like landscapes and stuff like that. Because, like, I mean, I've seen landscapes that look really, like, artificial and stuff like that, and, like, sometimes if you can just kind of add a little bit extra just to kind of make it look more realistic, it ends up looking really nice. That's looking pretty good. I kind of like the idea that it's, like, darker a little bit up on this side, and then it's, like, brighter white on this side. It kind of, like I said, gives it a windswept kind of appearance. So we're just going to add a little bit more. Just a little bit. My white's starting to run out, though. Like I said, I go through white a lot, you guys. White is, like, the color that just goes everywhere, and I use it up so quick. I have to, like, frequently go out and buy, like, new tubes of white. More often than I do any other color. Because white is used for changing the color hue. It's used for transparency effects. It's used for my, my primers. Things like that. Let me just get some more. My white is really drying out here. Kind of bring it up along this side. That's a little brighter than what I want, but that's okay. It's okay, we can fix it. It's alright. It ain't no thing. It ain't no thing. There we go. I'll probably, like, hit it with something else. Kind of like looking at it in the camera. Trying to figure out how I like it, you know? Camera's really good. Of like it doesn't always focus when I want it to focus, but it's very good about being another pair of eyes when I really need it to be. Let me get a little closer so I can get some clarification on it. Come on. Get really close. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to slowly zoom out a little bit. Yeah, I need some more white, for sure. That actually looks really interesting like that. I think what I might do is I'm going to extend this white right here. Okay, hold on. I need to wet my brush. That's probably part of this problem. Besides the fact that my white is totally drying out, my brush is also getting very dry. So I need to kind of wet that a little bit, and we're going to try and get some more white. And what I'm going to do now is I actually noticed something that looks really interesting, so I'm going to try and experiment with it. So I'm going to try to extend this white off to the side here, like this. I'm not going to fill in all these spaces, because what I am going to do is I'm going to just kind of fill this area down here, lighten up this area just a little bit, I might also try to like bring the white over into the fire icon. So it's kind of like, I need to really check there. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And bring it down off to the side like this. Yeah, I really like how this is looking. Okay, this is going to look really cool. I'm actually really excited. So what I noticed, like that I didn't notice before until I got really close with the camera, is it's kind of creating, like the way that the snow is right here, where it like gets darker. Like it starts out really bright white, and then you go down, it gets a little darker in some of these spots. It's going to look really good for like ledges, like cliff ledges. So like now what I'm going to do to get those cliff ledges that I'm seeing is I'm going to get some more black, and I'm going to be very light with it. I got to be very careful with how I apply this black. So I'm basically going to kind of like bring it over here very, very lightly. Very, very lightly. Yeah. And kind of get lighter and lighter the closer I get to the whiter part of the snow effect. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like fluffy snow. That's awesome. I love it. And I'm basically trying to kind of like make it so that these look like little cliff ledges off to the sides here. So I kind of have to like be really careful with how I apply this black, because if I put too much in it, it's not going to be the right shade, you know? Just like that. Give me a second, I'm kind of just thinking about how it looks. Okay, hold on. So I think I should probably hit it with a little bit of black up here at the top. Just a little bit. And I'll bring it over here just a smidge too. And then kind of cut it back over to this side in particular. And let's see here. I think I'm going to apply a apply a light layer like right here, just like that, okay. So I got that black there, and that looks pretty good. And I do like the ledges that I've got going here. They do look pretty good, but we're going to now fill it out with white. We're going to keep those black ledges, but we're going to tone down the black color with a little bit more white, so it looks more like a snowy overcrop onto the black. Uh-oh. I've accidentally made a gray here. That's not good. Hold on a second. Unintentionally ruined my white. So I'm going to get my white paint, because I ruined my white by accident. And I'm going to take a little swab of it, just a teeny tiny little swab. Not too much. Because I don't need very much of it anymore. I'm just kind of trying to be super light with it. But it was so dry that I couldn't use the stuff anymore, and then I accidentally swabbed black into it. So I definitely need just a little bit more. So I got some fresh white paint here. And I'm going to kind of... this is going to be pretty interesting to work with. So I'm going to try to kind of flesh it out a little bit, just like right here, and probably right here. Maybe right around here as well. There we go. And I'm also going to try to like use the white to kind of overlap on the black a little bit. And because what that's going to do is it's going to thin out the black lines that are kind of like ridge-like. And it's going to like apply more snow. It's going to add a little bit of shade to it. And it's going to just kind of blend nicer. It's going to blend nicer is what it's going to do. So I'm going to just kind of keep adding a little bit more on this side. Just right there. And like I said, we're thinning out that black, which is going to look great. And just like that. There we go. Okay. How's that looking? Yeah! It's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. And bring some back up here at the top. Just like that. And I'm also going to use some more white to thin down this black layer over here because it's a little too thick. Yeah. Oh, that's looking so nice from my angle. Let me see how it looks on camera. You know, I'm thinking maybe some red is going to help, actually. Maybe like a little light layer of red over the over this particular area, like not way over here, but like maybe over on this side because of how this appears. It makes this look a little awkward. So we're going to add some red to kind of tone the white down off to the side. So I'm going to add in that nice pink color. Well, not really pink, but it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like a pinkish kind of red, I guess. It looks really great. Like, once when I apply it to this particular, like, the white and stuff like that, it looks great. But I don't know how I would actually describe the color itself. So I'm gonna kind of put a little bit over here. Yeah, we might have to hit that with some red as well, so... I mean, not red. We'll have to hit it with, like, probably a little bit of white to, like, tone it down. Mostly at the top there. But if I can just kind of like blend this particular spot, I think it's going to just look nicer. Yeah, this particular part up here is a little too bright, but we can tone that down. But this portion right here is looking really good. It's looking really, really good with that white. It's really blending it nicely. And like I said, like I'm able to do this simply because I'm making sure that my colors are so light, like really, really light, like light shades. Like often what I'm doing is I'm taking my brush, I dip it in, and then like rub it off. I rub it onto the palette until it's like a super thin layer, and then I start laying it down. So now I'm going to go back to my white again, just a little bit of white. And I'm going to just lay a very thin layer right over the top. Oh, and that's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, that looks a lot nicer. Looks much, much nicer like that. There we go. Let's see here. I think I'm also going to add a very light layer of that red again. I'm going to add it in a few different places from what I can see. So one of the places I want to put it is like kind of, make sure it's not too dark. If it's too dark, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So I'm going to kind of like add just a little bit right over on these sides like that. Nice light layers, nice light layers. Just like that. Yeah. Let me see something real quick that's kind of making me wonder. Makes me wonder. Makes me wonder. This particular spot is a little dark, so I'm going to add some white to kind of lighten it up a little bit. Maybe a little bit more white. That was a super light layer of white, so let's add just a little bit more. There we go. And I kind of want to do some more stuff over here on this side. I kind of want to thicken the white on a few different spots, so like I want to kind of like add just a little bit over on this side. Let me kind of start from the bottom, because what's really nice is that I can get a lot more thin with it on the bottom, and then bring it up closer to the top to blend it better. Yeah. Yeah. And then I want to add more white towards the bottom as well, again, over on this side. Yeah, it might be too light. Hold on a second. There. That looks good. That looks good. There we go. There we go. Alright. Alright, so now I'm going to evaluate it. I'm going to try something. Oops, knocked over that paint. So one thing that's kind of like bothering me a little bit is this area over here still looks kind of out of place to me. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about that. How to make it look more in tune with the rest of it. It has something to do with this particular white area. This white area doesn't look right because it looks like it's cutting through the rock, which doesn't seem right to me. Just trying to imagine like what I would do to kind of fix that. Let me get a zoom in here. We're just kind of looking at it. This one particular spot that's kind of bothering me. It's this area right here. This is, I mean, it's got the right colors. It's just like, it looks weird to me because it seems like this white is like cutting through this area up here, which doesn't seem to look right to me. So, I think I'm going to try something. I'm going to try and see if my purple is still alive, because I think it is. And I'm going to see if I can extend this area down here just a little bit further down. I do have purple left. Just a little bit. Just a little bit of purple. It's probably going to be exactly enough for what I need. So I think I'm going to... This is going to be really interesting. I'm going to try to kind of extend this down a little bit. Yeah, it's going to have to bleed over on this side too. And then probably extend out just a little bit. Yeah. And I'll probably have to add some black. That's what I'm sensing here. So that red helps a lot. I can already tell it made a major impact because it's already starting to look a little bit better. It's just that one spot. It just kind of looks weird, so I need to really make it look a little less weird to me. And I do know that it's one of those things where it's like I bet a lot of people probably wouldn't notice it, but it's something that I'm noticing, and I want to fix it while I'm noticing it. So I'm just going to kind of be really careful with this black. So I'm bringing it down and kind of like trying to blend it a little bit better. Yeah, that does actually look a lot good, a lot less awkward, much less awkward. It seems like it fits better. Like, I'll probably do like some white that's going to come around on this edge over here, but at least it's making it look a little more... It's making these particular portions of the mountain up here at the top fit better with the rest of the painting. Because it was just looking like it cut off there, and I don't know. It just was weirding me out, and I didn't like it. So that's what I'm trying to fix. So we're going to kind of extend this out just a little bit more. Just to about here. Just like that. Yeah, that looks actually a lot better. Kind of... Yeah, maybe if I just kind of bring it out just a little bit more. Just a teensy, teeny, tiny bit more. Let me see. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. So now I'm going to go back to my purple again. And I'm going to throw some purple on top of that black that I just laid down. And then we're probably going to hit it with some red too. So I'm kind of bring this down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Come on. Trying to get it to focus so I can see it just a little bit better. Like I said, I know the focus is great for you guys, but it's also great for me too. Alright, so I'm going to lay this purple down. And it's blending with my black very nicely. Right away, it's blending very nicely. Yeah, yeah, it does look like that. You're totally right, Wrath of Wood. I definitely agree with you. I'm definitely going to bring that white around on the side here. And it's going to look a lot more natural for it, which is going to look great. Yeah, that helped a lot, actually. Let me get a little bit of the I'm going to start working with the white, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to bring in this white, and I'm going to kind of bring it around this way, just very lightly. I'm also going to bring this white around too, just a little bit. Okay. Oh, it's a little too dark. Oh, balls. It's a little too dark. No! That's okay, I could fix it. I mean, it's annoying, but I can fix it. There we go. And kind of spread it out just a little bit more off to the sides here. There. Yeah, I kind of like that wrapping round effect. That actually looks really nice. Now if I could just kind of tone that down a little bit, just a little bit, that would be amazing. There, let me kind of... Yeah, okay. Okay, we got something. We got it, boys. We got it, boys and girls. Feeling pretty good about this. Feeling pretty darn good about this. So I'm adding a little bit more white because this area needs to be darkened just a little bit. Bring it around the sides over here. Just kind of give it that cloudy appearance. It looks like it's kind of like drifting over to the side, which is, I really like that look. Add just a little bit more. Okay, I need to make sure this is not too dark. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to very carefully kind of bring this over here. Just very, very lightly. There. I think that really did a good job. I'm kind of... Let's see if I can kind of get it to... I'm trying to make the light make it so it's not super glary. I'm feeling like I'm almost done with this, you guys. Like, I'm feeling, like, pretty accomplished with this particular piece. I'm not seeing much that I can do with it anymore. But I just want to make sure that all the details look about right. And if I could get it to focus a little better, it would really help me out a lot. Okay. Oh, that looks so much better. Let me see if I can kind of just carefully bring it out just a little bit. Okay. I think I'm done. I think I'm done with this. Feels pretty good to me. What do you guys think? Got Craig and Wrath of Wood hanging out with me, and I know it's only you two guys, but I super appreciate you being here. So go ahead and tell me, what do you guys think? Do you think it looks alright? More boobs. Thank you, Craig. You guys crack me up. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about this one. I'm feeling like it's pretty much done. I'm just making sure I'm like kind of like looking at all the details. Like I'm looking over in this corner and it looks just fine. It looks nice and smooth. Um, this area looks pretty good to me as well too. I kind of like the red bleeding into the white effect going on, which works really well with the particular shading up here at the top. I was really happy that we fixed this awkward like peak right here because it looked really weird to me, and I was like, why does that not look right? And like how we added more to it lower, definitely fixed it, made it look a lot nicer, a lot more natural to me in particular. And I also like the effect that it looks like that this peak right here kind of ends here, and then this one starts up on the side, which is really nice. Because it's obvious that this one up here is closer to the foreground, and this one is further in the background a little bit more. Um, so yeah, I think it came out really nice, really nice. Um, yeah. Bottom left, you think? Yeah, you know, I was thinking that too, actually. Maybe more white, I think, closer to the far left area. Um, let me kind of work with that a little bit and see if I can get something going there. Because I was thinking it looks a little funky too. Um, most of the majority of it is done though, I feel like. I just have to keep in mind the shading on this particular side. So I'm going to kind of bring some white over on this side a little bit. Yeah, that's actually looking pretty good. And need some more white. We'll just kind of, I'm kind of like bringing it down around the sides here to kind of blend it better. Just like that. Bring it over on this side. Yeah, because I think the lighter the color of the pink goes, like it'll just blend better. It'll look nicer, and it'll look like it's closer to your face, which is kind of like how you want it to look. So, yeah, just like that. Just like that. And I'll add a little bit more on this side too, like this little lower portion over here. I'm being a little thicker with it, closer to the bottom, but I'm still kind of trying to keep it with that low pink hue that it's got going on. Oh my god, that looks so much better. Oh my god, that looks so much better. Look at that. Let me get it nice and close. It looks like poofy, puffy, like snow with a sunset, like kind of bouncing off of it. Let me kind of. Oh god, that looks so much better. Wrath of Wood, you got an eye for art, dude. That looks so much better. I'm glad I followed your suggestion on that. Yeah, that helped a lot. That makes it look so much better. Alright, well I'm pretty pleased with that. Like, I definitely was like looking at it when I was asking you guys for advice. I was like looking at it and I was like, something seems a little off, but I can't like put my finger on it. So I'm really glad you said that, Wrath of Wood, because it looked a little weird and I just couldn't quite figure it out, but pointing that out in the left corner really helped out a lot, so I super appreciate that. Um, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It just looked a little off, but I'm glad that you mentioned that because once I actually worked on it, it now looks a lot nicer. Um, yeah, I think it looks great. Like I actually like before I was unsure, but now I feel like it's done. Craig. Well, hey man, I'm selling islands for. I'll sell you an island for $40 if you're down for it. I've definitely sold. Like you guys have probably seen Rebecca a couple times. She actually got an island from me that she purchased. So like I do sell stuff like that, and I think her husband put it in like a commander deck or something like that. So they look great in commander decks and stuff. So yeah, I think we're done. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna put my little signature on it because that's how I like to roll. Just tell her you're buying a fine piece of artwork. And the thing is too is that like my lands are the cheapest, so like you get like full art lands like this for like $40. I'm gonna put my little tag. Oh, that's not the right one. I used to use the silver, but I kind of stopped using the silver because the ink gets all funky with the silver. So now I'm kind of like sticking to the black. Um, that's my little tag. Nice and simple. You guys want to like closer look at it? If it'll focus. My little teeny tiny tag. Come on. You can do it. I believe in you, camera. There it is. That's my little tag. Oh, man. That felt pretty good, guys. I'm feeling pretty awesome after that. That was amazing. Thank you guys so much for helping me out. That was tight. So I think I'm going to probably have to wrap it up here. I mean, we're a little shy of 2 hours, but I'm okay with that. Like, you never know how the painting streams are going to go. But I had a really wonderful time, and I mean, I'm glad that I had you guys come in and hang out with me and give me really good painting advice. It was awesome. Um, so I'm going to say all the stuff that I like to say, which is, first of all, thank you, Craig Mabutt and Wrath of Wood, specifically, for coming in and hanging out with me and having a good time and talking, magic lore and magic stuff and giving me good advice on painting and like I was doing a lot of talking about all the painting and all the stuff I was doing, but at the very end, you guys came in when I really needed it, so I super appreciate that. Matching the colors looks really hard. Well, after a while, you kind of get a natural eye for it. Like, if I were to show you guys my old card paintings, a lot of them have mismatching colors. It just takes a lot of practice, like you kind of learn to look out for certain things, like you learn color tones. And that's why I tell people to not use the pre-made colors. Work with prime colors and kind of mix all your own stuff, and you kind of learn how to recognize certain colors and things like that. And it teaches you to blend colors better and recognize what colors go with what and so forth. It looks hard at first because it is kind of hard at first, but the more you do it, the more practice you get in, the easier it gets and the better looking it gets. So, if you guys are interested in painting, I highly recommend trying it. I love it. I've actually had multiple people come in and tell me that they went out and they would buy paints and they would, take some of their crappy cards they don't care about and they would just kind of paint over them and have a good time. And that's the best way to do it. It's a lot of fun. I actually used to, when I first started painting, I did this as a meditative thing. It wasn't even, specifically because I was trying to entertain people. And originally, I didn't even, do it because I wanted to sell cards to people. I mean, that's where I'm at now, obviously, but I used to just do it because it was really relaxing, and it kind of took me to, a zen zone, and really, just was just a really relaxing, fun thing to do for me. So that's how I originally started. And then as I got better and better, I was like, oh, well, now I can do this on stream for people and I can sell my cards to people and, people like them, which is really cool. So I highly encourage people trying it out just to have that experience because it's a lot of fun. And it's really not that hard. Like, some people think it's really complicated, but it's really not. Like, you get used to it, and you get comfortable with it, and the more you practice, the better you get, so... but anyways, I'm gonna wrap it up here, guys, so... Thank you, Craig, and thank you, Wrath of Woods, so much for hanging out with me. You guys rock. I super appreciate it. So, you know, if you're... For anybody, you know, because I know Craig and Wrath of Wood are subscribed to me, and they're kind of hanging out with me, so it's all good, but... for anybody who might be watching this in the future, please subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit that notification bell so you guys know when I'm going to be streaming and when I'm going to be making content and so forth. But other than that, I just want to say follow your dreams, guys, and have a great night. I will see you in the next stream, okay? Take it easy, boys.